Hey guys, welcome back, and today I really want to get going as, well, looking forward to doing this part, so let's not do any intro stuff and let's get going. Now last time we left off with the likes of the tournament being set up, and here we see the Z Fighters going through some training to get ready to take part in the tournament. However, at the Sun House there's a few more people training than there would be. With the likes of Goku still alive, Goten is much more of a fighter here, and thanks to some influence from his uncle Raditz, and also Krillin, who has taken to training with the group Saiyans, he's a much more skilled fighter. However, this isn't the person I want to talk about. The person I want to talk about is Maron. Maron here is a much more, how do I say it, involved person. She's a much happier fighter. She has trained with the Saiyans and her father for years, and she's developed a very close friendship and rivalry over the years with Goten. You see, Maron has a fire in her to keep up with the Saiyans. After learning how her biology is different and how she is half human just like Goten, it makes her believe she can keep up with him. However, this is sort of not entirely true. Her DNA is very different and she doesn't have all the same benefits Saiyans do. But this has led to her having a massive love for martial arts and being a fierce fighter, someone who is not willing to back down without trying to win. And this has led to her trying to keep up with everyone around her. And thanks to this, her father, Krillin, has kept up with his training here in this timeline. Now, you see, the reason that I said rival here is because Goten didn't develop the same rivalry with Trunks that he did in canon. Thanks to the fact that Vegeta is still somewhat a dick, the pair are still close. However, because of that, Goten never really got to know Trunks incredibly well, so the rivalry never really developed. However, thanks to Nappa being around, Trunks is still quite good. He's somewhere in the middle of what he was in canon and a little bit of what Vegeta is right now. He's a bit arrogant and a bit cocky, however, thanks to the fact of Nappa's influence, he can be quite nice and very enjoyable to be around. Now, with this all said and done, even Gohan is training for this tournament. Chi-Chi wants her son to take part and, win some prize money. And even though Gohan, for the most part, has dropped training altogether, he will join in with exercises every now and again. Now, with this all said and done, the tournament rolls around. Everyone meets up for the first time in years, with the most exciting reunion being the likes of Nappa and Gohan reuniting. The older Saiyan says how the hybrid hasn't gotten any stronger since they last met, and if he has, it's only a small bit stronger. Gohan goes on to explain how, after getting the Super Saiyan 2 form, he pretty much stopped training altogether, and he's only here right now to try and get the prize money for his mum, even though he thinks his father will win anyway. Nappa contemplates this for a while, and Gohan's a little worried that Nappa might go mental at him. After all, Nappa really held Gohan high up. After all, Gohan had incredible power, and Nappa saw this. But Nappa looks towards his student and tells him that he respects the child's wishes and tells him to give up his best try, but at least keep up with your training a little bit. We don't want to see all that Saiyan potential go to waste. Gohan, happy to hear this, laughs, and the two spend a bit more time catching up. With this done, let's get to the kids division, and the tournament for the kids rolls around. All the kids are a bit bummed out that they can't take part in the adult division, however they agree to go all out against one another. The first part of the tournament goes pretty normal, with the three mopping the floor with everyone. When we get to the semi-finals though, we see the likes of Trunks versus Maron. The pair aren't too familiar with one another. After all, Vegeta wouldn't want Trunks around a human and an alien hybrid who he believes to be an inferior race. He can deal with Goten after all there's Saiyan in him, but that Maron girl, no. And Maron doesn't like Trunks too much because he's a bit of an arrogant dick. And with this said, the two are about to have a fight with one another. And thanks to Trunks being a lot more sane in this timeline, he explains how the non-sane girl will lose here, so she should just give up now and, keep her pride. However, Marin doesn't agree to this. She doesn't even blink or flinch. She explains how being a Saiyan isn't everything that matters. They both have part human in them and are both fighters, so she won't be backing down here without putting up a good fight. With the likes of Vegeta getting ready to watch his son and expecting an easy victory from his boy, everyone gets ready to watch the fight go down. And Trunks, expecting to win with ease, does hold back. This is the Vegeta in him talking. With this said and done, the two walk out into the tournament battleground. and both get ready to fight. Maron taking a fighting stance much like her father's, and Trunks very lazily holding up a fighting stance of his own. He expects to win with ease, so he's holding back very heavily right now. Suddenly, the likes of Maron surprises everyone, other than the likes of Goten and Krillin. With the girl letting her speed massively increase, she disappears and reappears in front of Trunks, landing one massive blow on his face, sending the boy flying backwards. Trunks does grab himself, but realizes that he really underestimated Maron. He's surprised at how fast she moved, and is then called out by Maron, who says how, if you're a so-called Saiyan, you should take her more seriously. With the lights of Trunks getting serious, he rushes at the girl. Marin is immediately put on the defensive. She is at a massive disadvantage here. Once Trunks goes all out in his base, the girl is put at a disadvantage heavily. However, once Marin manages to break away from the fight, she shouts out a trick up her sleeve. She screams out Kaioken times 5. Body then becomes engulfed in a red aura and her power skyrockets. She then rushes towards Trunks, and with this small increase, she has actually closed the gap between herself and Trunks. And now they are fighting evenly once. And because of this, Marin's martial arts skills are starting to show. Her better fighting style, her better technique is actually putting her at an advantage over Trunks. She lands a massive hit on Trunks, sending him flying backwards, and then rushes straight towards the boy. Just before making impact though, she splits into two, using the multiform technique, and begins to use an assault on Trunks to try and take him down, hoping that an attack from two angles will be more than enough to do it. Trunks is beginning to feel a bit overwhelmed. He's trying to block every attack he can, and eventually he does manage to stop both of them in their tracks. He manages to throw away both the proper Maron and the clone, and then jumps out and jumps up to Super Saiyan. And this makes the whole arena surprised, and the likes of Raditz is very impressed, seeing how Vegeta's brat does have the grade 4 state of Super Saiyan. With him obviously knowing this is Nappa, he turns towards the big guy and tells him well done for training him so well. Nappa chuckles and says, yeah, he's a great student, before Vegeta is pretty angry that he wasn't involved. However, he really wasn't involved in Trunks' training here. With Trunks now in Super Saiyan, Marin is nervous, but she holds her ground. Trunks having more than enough power to outplay the girl merges back into one, and she tries to close the gap as much as possible, using her maximum Kaioken output at this time, which is times 10. This does nothing to hold up against Trunks, and the girl is slowly losing steam over this fight. Eventually, Trunks gets into one good combo and lands a massive hammer arm onto the and sends her rocketing towards the ground, where she hits the tournament stand and is left almost motionless, headfirst into the ground. Trunks lands next to her and tells the ref to end this match. The ref does get ready to call it when suddenly the girl begins to push herself up from the ground. The likes of Goten, having enough of watching his friends fight, tells her to stay down. The girl doesn't listen. She looks up towards Trunks, saying how, you don't have to be a Saiyan to be strong. I'll prove that here. And now, her eyes changing to a much more snake-like style. Her teeth grow sharper and her skin grows a bit more scaly. With her power jumping up only a small bit, everyone is shocked. Even Goten, who knows all of the girl's abilities, is shocked. Vegeta is now confused and almost angry that this girl seems to have a transformation. The girl manages to stand up, and having achieved her own transformation, she looks at Trunks, and the likes of Trunks is still massively ahead of her. But the girl, not wanting to back down, rushes towards Trunks, going to land an attack on the boy, who easily stops this attack, before seeing something very strange happen. The moment Maron's hand hit his arm that she used to punch him almost wraps around his own, as if there was no bones in it. With the girl then using her other hand to land a punch on the likes of Trunks' head, Trunks has to spend a minute trying to recollect himself. But during this time, Marin uses it to quickly release Trunks and then do a spinning kick, sending Trunks flying over to the stands. And this leaves Trunks really confused. He does recollect himself and rushes towards Marin, being a lot more determined to win here, which is a lot of power, trying to close any hope that the girl has of winning. However, Marin can feel this, and she already knows that she needs to do something to win, but she has one plan. The girl, already unfamiliar with what's happening to her body, shouts out Kaioken times 10. Her scream is almost in agony, but she jumps up to the times 10 form, with this giving her a big increase, which is equivalent of that of a Super Saiyan multiplier right now. The two clash for a few seconds before the girl jumps up and slams down on Trunks. With her speed already outpacing Trunks's, he goes to block it, knowing he won't be able to move. With Maron's arm once again folding around his, and the girl uses this one opportunity to fling Trunks straight out of the ring. The boy slams onto the ground around the arena, having been ringed out, but the girl collapses at this time of energy exhaustion and a lot of pain. Both Goten and Krillin rush into the ring in a effort to help out their, friends, with Nappa also flying down to try and help Trunks. With Goten going over to help Marin at first, Krillin tells him to go check on Trunks, and Nappa has already got Trunks. Krillin grabs his daughter and asks why she pushed herself so hard, with her responding with, I wanted to show you and myself you don't have to be an alien to be the strongest. You always seem to believe that you can't beat Mr. Goku, and I wanted to show that you can. I hope you're not mad. With Krillin touched, he shouts out to Goten to go and grab some sensu beans from Korin's, tower. The boy agrees and rockets off, with the Kid Division not having any clear winner. Since Trunks lost, Marin can't fight, and Goten left, everyone just stands there confused. The ref doesn't know how to call it, so they just call it a tie for now, hoping that maybe when Goten shows up, he can claim the victory. With all of this done, the adult division starts a bit sooner. However, since there's going to be a lot of changes here, since I've pretty much got a much bigger cast to work with, I'm going to use a randomizer to make all the matches happen as they go. So the matches are Krillin versus Mar Jr., Goku versus Killer, Gohan versus Raditz, Jewel versus Vegito, Yamu versus Kibito, Spopovich versus Mr. Satan, and Android 18 versus Nappa, Videl versus Shin. I got some things to cover here. But for those who are a bit more clicked on right now, notice the name that probably shouldn't be here in this timeline. I'll come back to that briefly in a bit. The likes of Videl has still made it into the tournament, however, she is significantly weaker than her canon counterpart. Tien and Yamcha aren't on planet right now, however, they are watching the fight thanks to King Kai. And that's pretty much all I feel like I need to cover. So let's get going. And once hearing this name, the likes of Goku and Krillin begin to scan the entire arena, looking for someone, looking for anyone who just mildly resembles him. Eventually, Goku does spot who he was looking for, a presence of familiar evil, with a loud laugh being heard. Took your time, son Goku. Goku spins his head around to see the evil eyes of Piccolo, with a devilish grin on his face and a weird mark on his head. The likes of Krillin spots the Namekian, asks how he is free, and the likes of Piccolo explains how some outside help helped him to escape years ago, and it seems that he's gotten a lot stronger than he could even imagine over the years. He turns his head towards Krillin. I guess the blue brat was yours, wasn't it, Baldy? She isn't a bad fighter. Too bad her father is useless, human, and a terrible fighter. Maybe the likes of a true warrior will train her, and she'll reach her full potential. With this said, Krillin's head has massive veins on it, almost popping out of his head. He stares bullets at the Namekian, asking what he wants. Piccolo responds one quick response, saying energy, and then walks away. It's getting about time for the adult division to start. Gohan has spent a bit of time talking to Eraser during this time, and Eraser has actually been introduced to some of the Sun family during this tournament. After all, they are dating here. Videl still sort of knows Gohan thanks to the fact he has a relationship with her best friend, but after hearing everything that Krillin and Goku had just told him after, encountering that green guy, who almost looked like a Namekian, he's a bit confused and asks what's going on. Goku and Krillin fill in Gohan who that guy was. After all, Gohan never met Piccolo here. They never even interacted. And they explain how if he's back, something bad's about to go down. We need to try and get the fighters who aren't on any sort of level like ours out of this tournament. Gohan, hearing this, walks straight over to Videl and tells her to quit the tournament. The two are friends here, but not as close. She doesn't want to take his word for this. Gohan explains how there is a terrible person in that roster right there. If by some miracle she makes it through some of these rounds and ends up against him, he will brutalize her. With Videl confused and Mr. Satan hearing this, he tells Gohan to back off a little bit, but Gohan is quite more pushy here. He's not willing to let someone like those two get hurt. They are both very much out of their league. He even grabs Jules and tells them both to leave. He's willing to throw them out if he needs to. While this is all going down, the likes of Vegeta, who had heard everything and saw everything, does recognise the Namekian, and doesn't recognise the mark on his head, but notices two other fighters have it on his head as well. Both Yamu and Spopovich have the same mark on their head. With Vegeta pointing this out in a very un-Vegeta-like fashion, being helpful, everyone starts to try and figure out that something bigger is about to happen, and they need to be ready. But around this time, Goten runs in with some sensor beans. Both he and Krillin run off towards Maron's room, and Goten throws one towards Nappa, telling him to give it to Trunks. Nappa obviously agrees and runs off to do that now. With Maron being given a sensu bean, she feels 100 times better. She was being looked after by Snake and she was conscious now, but she just couldn't move any of her body. With the pair giving the girl a sensu, she gets a hug off both Krillin and her mum, with Maron asking if she won, with them explaining that she won but lost, explaining what happened with her being a bit upset. However, she tells Goten that he should have just won the tournament and then gone and done that. The boy shrugs it off, saying how he wanted to make sure she was okay before anything, but now they need to be a lot more careful. With them about to explain everything that's happening with Piccolo, Krillin is called out for the fight. He walks out, seeing Arjuna on the battleground already. Krillin is a bit nervous, but he walks out. Piccolo stands there, sharing a devilish look at Krillin, before nodding at Spopovich and Yamu, with the pair watching the fight from the sides. Krillin notices this and takes a mental note. Getting into the ring, the ref realizes that this is a battle that had happened years ago, and he even shouts it out, saying how Marge Jr. took down Krillin years ago. Will this be the young fighter's chance to redeem himself? And both then take a fighting stance, similar to how they did years ago. Krillin gets ready. He knows he's at a disadvantage, but he's willing to try. Piccolo laughs as he unleashes his full power, which rocks the entire arena. With Krillin remembering the feeling of fighting the demon years ago, Krillin feels outmatched once again. The Earthling says how this fight will go differently to how it went back then. Piccolo says how it won't, and be ready to lose, because if this fight goes how I want it to go, you won't be here by the end of it. And just for a comparison, Piccolo's power here rivals that of Perfect Selves from Canon. Krillin knows that he is massively out of his league, but he does have one way to win. The Human says how I was planning on using this and defeating Goku with it, but I guess you will have to do Kaioken times 50. The lights of Krillin's body turns a deep red, and the Human disappears and reappears right in front of Piccolo. With Krillin's current power, he matches the likes of Super Vegeta from Canon from when he fought the Perfect Cell. And even though that's not great for Krillin, after all, still means Piccolo's stronger, this is an incredible feat for him. With the battle being quite close thanks to the fact that Krillin already knows how Piccolo moves, and Krillin has also picked up a lot of new tricks over the years. The fight goes on, and it becomes clear that Kaioken times 50 is still very draining for Krillin. And as the match goes on, Krillin is trying more and more to come up with new strategies to beat him, using things like the Destructo Disc to try and take off a limb, trying to outspeed him, trying to do anything. However, as it goes on and on and on, it becomes clear that Piccolo is going to win. And once Krillin is significantly drained, Piccolo shouts out that now is the time. Suddenly, out of the crowd, an alien appears in a hood, and he spits on Krillin, turning the Earthling to stone. With everyone shocked, a lot happens right now. Two new powers appear suddenly. At first, they assume it to be Yamu and Spopovich, but suddenly Piccolo shoots out a massive beam from his hands, hitting the stoned version of Krillin and assuming to leave him destroyed. Goku, who watches on from the side, screams out, shaking the entire city, and with this the warrior jumps up to Super Saiyan 2. He appears right next to Piccolo and lands a massive punch on the Namekian's face, sending him backwards, while landing a backflip and kicking Deborah straight into the earth. With him having done this, the likes of Deborah fly straight back up towards him, but suddenly Goku feels stunned. He was about to land a blow and now he can't move. That's when Spopovich and Yamu both jump Goku and start stealing his energy. With the likes of Gohan, Nappa, Vegeta all watching this, they all get ready to help, but Raditz is already moved. He's intercepted by Piccolo though, and can't get past the Namekian. Even though he's not as strong as the Saiyan, he's managing to keep him away. Eventually Goku's energy is stolen, and then the four flighters suddenly fly off at breakneck speeds, with Piccolo turning back and firing off a massive light grenade towards the city. With it looking like it will make contact, it is stopped by Raditz, who immediately heads back to make sure his brother's okay. He's currently been given a senzu bean and is back in fighting shape. With everyone then getting filled in by the Kais who are still at the tournament here, everyone gets quickly ready to fly off after the margins. With Goku, Raditz, and Gohan all leading the charge, these three are the closest with Krillin. The kids have been told to stay back, and Android 18 is physically holding them back from leaving, thanks to the fact that, you know, she doesn't want to be involved in this and wants to win the tournament, but she also understands that this is a dangerous thing for kids to be a part of. After a short flight, two people appear right next to the group. With everyone confused, they are on guard, but see that it's the likes of Yamcha and Tien holding Krillin's statue. Everyone's confused, and Tien explains how they learned a technique from an alien called the Yardratian, and they taught him how to teleport to and from the other world. Sensing what was happening on Earth and some help from King Kai, they teleported in, saved Krillin, and headed back to King Kai's planet, trying to figure out what they needed to do to save their friend. King Kai said how they had to kill the guy who spat on him, and here they are. With everyone filled up and filled in, they head off straight towards Bobity's ship, where things head a bit normally. The likes of Bobity kills Yamu and Spopovich for their energy, and then head into his ship. However, a massive change happens here. Goku's rage and a little bit of donation from both Piccolo and Deborah is more than enough energy to release the margin. And with this done, a massive power begins to unleash. The whole area begins to shake as if the planet was itself. Then suddenly, the entire ship is destroyed. With this done, at the bottom of the ship, it shows the likes of Piccolo, Deborah, Babidi, and Boo. Everyone's shocked, everyone's scared, but the person who is scared the most is Shin and Kibito. They are never seen such destructive force before, and this is the person who killed all the Kais years ago. With this done, Piccolo laughs, saying how his plan worked perfectly, with the Margin Slave saying how Babidi needs to remember his part of the deal. I'm allowed the Earthlings and Son Goku. Buu can kill everything else, before turning back towards the group. Babidi, not arguing, he agrees, and the group get ready to battle a big threat. But this is where I'm ending this part. For a multitude of reasons. One, I couldn't get happy with the fight choreography for this fight. So I'm just going to make this like a setup, and hopefully the next part will cover both this Battle of Gods and maybe Resurrection F, if I'm feeling saucy. Um, but for now, yeah, this is where I'm ending this part. This was mostly my introduction to Maron, I could say, the Maron of this timeline, and the like introduction of the Buu saga. I hope everyone likes what I'm doing with Maron. I want to make her a very proud fighter who wants to show up the Saiyans. Even though she's not fully human herself, she never knew she had any benefits from being alien, which is some things I'll cover before. But the things I want to cover about that form is its own. The multiplier I gave her for it is only like 5 times. So when she used the Kaioken times 10, it jumped it up to 50, which is why I said it's equivalent to a Super Saiyan multiplier. This was always my plan. I was always going to give her a low multiplier and just let her cover the rest with Kaioken. But I do have some plans as well with her. I hope I can do some fun stuff with her. And I do have a plan of where I will take her character, as well as the fact that Krillin has got the Kaioken times 50, which is something I've said in the past I didn't want to do. But this timeline is all about the Z Fighters staying relevant still. In my opinion, that's what this story is about. And it makes it hard because only times 30 is really low. So I wanted to give them at least times 50. And to be honest, I might even push it further. And in future what ifs, I might even allow myself to do that because I think times 30 is very low and makes it very hard for me to find a way to keep them up. Like Tien and Yamcha have fusion, but that doesn't do much for them individually. So I'm going to start searching out for other options. One of my best ones was when I could allow them to go to Yardrat in King Cold's What If. So I'm going to have to figure something out for them. I know, but for now, that's everything. Thank you, Sun Sun, for the fan art of Maron. Oh my god, I loved it. I never received anything like that. Um, so I'm in the description. There'll probably be a link to his Deviant art. Don't go there if you're too young, please. But thank you again, dude. It was so cool for doing that, and I really do appreciate it. Once again, thanks. Thank you again, everyone who's watching. Next, what if I will be doing is what if Gohan died to Raditz, and I think I can probably do most of the Buu saga in one shot. We'll find out. But yeah, I hope everyone has a great day or a good night, and I'll see you next.